All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Here's Why You're Wrong with Mick, Brian, and Jim. We are happy to be coming to you on this Thursday, February 20th, and we will be talking about food today. This is the food show. We're going to be talking about all different kinds of food, our favorite foods, our hated foods. I have a lot of hated foods. Give us a call. The phone number here is 503-207-7135. You can see it at the bottom of the screen right over there. So give us a call. Call in with your favorite food. Give us your thoughts on foods that make you homesick, foods that just make you sick. I just came up with that on the spot.
That's really great.
Any kind of food-related stuff would be great. We always like to start by talking about some current events.
Good thing, too, real quickly about food is
Yeah.
everybody's qualified to have an opinion.
That's true.
Not a lot of research necessary to call in this time.
No, most people that I've met have eaten.
Pretty much.
I mean,
Pretty
really.
much.
I
It's
mean,
true.
almost everybody I know
I
has
think
eaten
so. Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, give us a call. Let us know what your favorite food is, what you hate, what you always crave in the morning when you're pregnant, what you know, if you're, for the ladies, whatever. Anyways, moving on. Current events. We talked about the Olympics are going on right now over in what I thought was Sochi, but now has become Sochi. Did anybody else pick up on that? For
My
weeks
wife was
and
asking
weeks
about that last
leading
night.
up to it, it was like the Winter Games in Sochi. Sochi. The minute it started, it's we're coming live from Sochi, Russia. It's like somebody told them at the last minute, you guys, it's Sochi. But maybe it's just me. I guess they both sound fairly Russian.
Who knows? I don't have a strong opinion on that. It's a
On how you pronounce Sochi?
well, and also, is it Moscow or Moscow? You know, you listen to the announcer. Some of them say Moscow. I think it's supposed to be Moscow, but you just kind of, I think, have to, realize there's a little bit of variation in there.
In America,
okay.
I guess we can say Moscow because we're used to saying that. But, yeah, it's been, an interesting... Did you see the Bob Costas' swollen eyes?
I did. I saw that.
A little bit of an uncomfortable... Have you seen that at all, Jim, when he started?
I haven't watched much of the Olympics.
Oh, I guess Bob Costas has been...
Crying a lot?
No,
He had conjunctivitis.
Oh.
He's been
Pink
reporting
eye.
the Olympics
Yeah.
for
Right.
like 25 years. Like it's
Right.
always been
Yeah,
him.
Bob Costas,
And
yeah.
he started this time with glasses on, which he doesn't usually wear. It looked
Yeah.
weird, and he said, I've got his left eye was a little swollen. And then throughout the first few days of the Olympics, it sort of got worse, went to both eyes, and finally they pulled him from coverage for the first time, and he's back now. But
I hadn't heard anything about it. I tuned it in and was just watching it for a few minutes. I didn't see it from the beginning or anything. But they did the typical close-up on him.
Right.
And, I mean,
Was it distracting?
it looked
to you?
awful. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
I
I mean,
see.
it's like, holy smokes, look at his eye. Usually,
Yeah.
I think that we take for granted how sort of perfectly made up these people are on TV, and you see somebody with that kind of a problem, and it was
How bad was it?
It was bad. It was on the one eye. It was swollen.
Wow.
And really red, and the around it was all red and
He
everything.
couldn't
and
wear his contacts, of course.
It was
so
bad.
he had these sort of thick glasses on. You're not used
Yeah.
to seeing him in. And then over the next couple days, instead of going away, it spread to both eyes.
Yeah.
So they took him off and put.
He became the story. So the Twitter
Right.
sphere blew up,
Right.
and I think they did the right thing because you can't have your master of ceremonies be
I agree.
the main thing. That
So
people
you
are talking
both
about.
have been watching the Olympics a lot?
Some.
Yeah, I sort of turn on in the background as,
Yeah.
as things are going on. It's interesting to watch. I mean, sort of the competitions and the international flavor of it, and so yeah, I've been sort of enjoying it. I don't really sit down and say, all right, I got to watch my Olympics now, but yeah, we've been watching it go on. And
I guess I was interested in the hockey, just because I've heard about it and because one of my friends is
Yeah.
a Canuck.
it's the only time Americans care about hockey, really. I mean, who?
Yeah.
I think it's a better
Well, the
game
Russians,
than
it was like a big deal with the Russians. It was, pride of, and they got knocked out.
They're not going to medal at all, which was they were.
Yeah.
They had to get a gold medal. Like, I think Putin had said something.
Well, I
about it.
heard some interview, and it was they had some of the best hockey stars in Russia, but they couldn't coalesce as a team because they weren't playing together, whereas the Finns were playing as a team, the Swedes.
Yeah.
And
I guess the U.S. is doing really well too. They were saying they weren't going to be as good defensively, and whatever, they're good. I
Well,
guess.
the reason those 85 games with the Miracle on Ice
Long
and all that
time.
stuff
Yeah.
was so much of a big deal was because the relations between Russia and the U.S. where it was
Right.
the Cold War was going on. It was so symbolic of
right. And
them
I don't think they
falling.
were NHL players
Right.
or anything. They were like amateurs
Yeah.
or whatever.
Then the Russians back then, they were
Oh,
they
yeah,
were
and the
real
East
pros.
Germans. Yeah, that's all you did.
And
You-
these are
yeah.
college kids
Right.
that we had playing, and so it was
Yeah.
such a big upset,
Yeah.
which has all changed, which I think is an interesting. I don't know. I was saying it to my wife. It's funny watching the Olympics because back then I felt like America's the good guys. And of course, I was younger and a little more naive, but. It's just interesting because now, that American athletes, if you get a gold medal, get $1 million.
Oh, they did?
No,
Yeah, they do.
I don't think
It's
that's
the truth. Yes, it is. You could look
From who?
From I guess from the government or from the USOC or something. But they get a big and a lot of the athletes in a lot of the countries get that. Like they were talking about.
I thought I had read up on that in the past. I know it depends on each
Maybe
country.
I'm wrong. I could have sworn that on
I'm
the
looking it
broadcast.
up right now. You
on
just
the
opened up your
broadcast,
mouth.
they said it, but I think it's interesting when there's that much money changing hands and when the governments are bonusing the athletes. And even, I think it was Kazakhstan or something, they get $250,000 or something, they were talking about it. And it's just interesting. It just kind of, I look at the medal count and see the United States being at the top, and it's sort of not as, it's not quite the romantic feeling that I had,
Yeah.
35 years ago about that. So much money involved.
Well, I don't think that's why anybody goes to the Olympics. I really don't. I
No,
think
I
it's
agree
a
with
special breed of
Sure.
people, and that's part of the thing is when I watch it, I cannot imagine. I'm so not an athlete. I just don't have that mentality.
Yeah.
And watching it, I mean, the Summer Olympics is, I think, more popular than the Winter Olympics in general, but that's the one I like to watch, and one of my favorites is the gymnastics. And these people are so young, mostly the girls. The men seem to be a
Right.
little bit older, but you take these 15-year-old girls or whatever, they're standing out there, they've got millions and millions of people staring at them, and they have to land this one thing.
Right.
And the tension is so much.
Perfectly.
Yeah, and I can
Absolutely
hardly breathe when I'm watching
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And I just think, can you imagine being 15 and the weight of literally the world is on your shoulders and waiting for you to pull this thing off? Is she going to fall off the beam all of a sudden? And I just can't imagine putting myself in that situation, and it's just such a nail biter. That's my favorite thing to watch.
It seems like it's not as bad as it used to be too, but immediately, especially with skaters, the
Yeah.
first thing that they would do is say, hey, the routine really fell apart with that triple Lutz.
Yeah.
What happened when you looked like you just didn't quite have your balance when you went into that thing? And
Yeah.
the only thing they ask them about, it's like, here this person's dedicated their life to this sport, and the only thing they can say is, wow, are you okay from that fall? Because, we were all, I don't know.
Did you see there was an incident last week that got some press? Maybe it was earlier this week. The snowboard or the skier whose brother had died last year, the year before, and after he came down, the interviewer kept poking him about his brother
Oh.
had passed away until he broke down and cried.
Yeah.
And everybody felt like they were bullying him, and they were. I watched it and I thought, God, would you leave him alone? They're trying to get him to cry. She's like, what do you think he would say if he was down here right now? And then he would sort of get choked up and answer it. And she's like, what's going through your head when you're at the top of that hill and you're thinking about your brother? And it's like, oh my God. It just made me nauseous. And there was a huge backlash. I mean, on the internet, everybody sort of said, God, that reporter was an idiot. And eventually the guy broke down and sobbed right there because, it's good TV. But yeah, that was just crazy. But yeah, it's been interesting to watch. We've got another few days of. It's over this weekend, is that right? Sunday?
Yeah, last few days right now.
So last few days it's been interesting, and next Summer Olympics are Brazil,
Yeah.
I believe. So that should be interesting as well to see how they pull that off. So let's talk food. We were talking just before the show started about some of what we had for dinner, and Jim mentioned. What did you have for dinner, Jim?
I had biscuits and gravy.
Which makes me insanely jealous. Number one, breakfast for dinner is so fun. It just feels like, woo, we're living on the edge, But God, biscuits and gravy is one of my favorites.
stuff.
I can't
Comfort food.
It is comfort food. I can't think of anything sort of less healthy for you.
Right.
I mean, it is nothing but carbs and fat and gravy. but oh god, is that good stuff. It's one of my favorites.
It's like chicken fried steak, or
Right.
tastes really good. You love it, but
For my money,
yeah.
breakfast foods are some of the best out there. It's almost impossible to find a bad breakfast as far as I'm concerned. Eggs, sausage, ham, sort of the basics. I could eat that pretty much 24 hours a day. I mean, I can't think of a time when it doesn't sound good.
I pulled out the joy of cooking on the weekend and made omelets.
Oh yeah,
So
see,
and
omelets
read
really
about
good.
omelets and
Mhm.
the French way, and then folding over, and so I sautéed some garlic and some onions and broke the eggs and beat them, but didn't get any air in them. You don't want them air in them. And then
Oh.
I don't actually have an omelet pan, but they turned out really good. Put some
Nice.
cheese in there, and so I was pretty proud of myself for that. Everybody seemed to like them.
Good.
So-
Yeah, I like an omelet too. I think I made some last weekend as well. I had sloppy joes tonight for dinner, which I've not had in years, but I thought, you know,
Kind of like biscuits and gravy.
well,
You pour it on bread stuff, right?
basically,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
You know, one thing that occurred to me, we should put sloppy joes, and this is going to blow people's minds. We should
Prepare yourselves.
We should put them on hot dog buns. That's right. I said it.
But
Hot dog buns are sealed.
how could that be?
They're sealed at the bottom. Now stay with me on this, Brian. Hot dog buns are sealed at the bottom, so you can open it up, fill it with sloppy Joe, and have a less sloppy than normal Joe. Because it's not coming out the bottom.
But
you put it. Is
The
that not
sloppy's
the fun out?
right there in the name, Nick. I
Maybe.
mean, come on.
Maybe I'll give you that.
Okay.
I enjoy it. It doesn't. I asked my kids, do they have sloppy joes at school anymore? Because that used to be a school,
Absolutely.
staple.
Right there with mystery pizza.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they said, no, we don't really have sloppy joes at school anymore, which is probably a good thing. I don't know.
There's been a lot in the news about school and food and, trying to get kids to eat healthier.
Yeah. Well, and they have Coke machines in schools.
Oh,
and a lot of other.
don't
and
get me started.
Yeah, and those beverage companies and other people
Gatorade
paying
and Powerade.
for the opportunity to
Oh,
have the
yeah.
machines right there in the school.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
There's some things wrong with that.
Not food related, but the United States pays
Wait a minute, this show's about food.
$25,000 for a gold medal.
25,000?
Yes.
What?
Which pales in comparison to
How much
Russia, which pays $250,000.
How much
Oh.
for a silver?
Oh no, I'm sorry. Kazakhstan pays $250,000. Russia pays $114,000. U.S. pays $25,000 for gold, $15,000 silver, and $10,000 for bronze.
Wow. Okay. So I guess it's not nearly the.
No.
I take it back.
The endorsements you might get afterwards, I think that's where the
Oh,
money's to
yes.
be made.
Sure.
For Subway and
I could have sworn it was more than
Nike
that.
and.
Well, what do they eat over there? What have you?
I wonder. Well, I'm sure they try what's Russian. Well, we were talking about goulash, Hungarian goulash. That's
Borscht.
sort of
Borscht.
borscht. What is borscht?
I don't know. It's some kind of beet soup, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Oh,
John,
I thought
is
I
it a
thought it
beet
was
soup?
meat. Maybe I'm wrong. Vodka.
Oh, vodka.
Borscht is not.
Nicely done.
Well, yeah. Get me on
They do
that.
eat-
Yeah.
Yes. Let's see. It is made with a beet as the beet and tomatoey. So it's a
awesome.
soup.
Yeah.
Hot,
See?
there's
You
hot
tuned
borscht
in, now you know what
and
borscht
there's
is.
cold
It's
borscht.
awesome.
It looks disgusting to me, but
I mean, other than that, what is Russian food? I don't know.
potatoes. I'm guessing.
Potatoes,
Ah.
vodka,
Okay.
borscht, vodka,
Yeah. I
probably
think
eat
so,
some meat
probably.
there.
potatoes, vodka.
What are some of your guys' favorite food? So here's.
So I want to just say something.
Yes,
You were
go
talking
ahead.
about breakfast. I
Yes.
love breakfast, and we
Yes.
were going to talk later about like positive associations. But there's something about a good breakfast feast is
I like
makes me happy.
waffles. I like crunchy waffles, though.
the thin. kind.
Not, well, crepes are good, but waffles that, it seems like the waffle maker we have, they come out all floppy, and I like
they're
them
not
crispy.
crisp.
Yeah.
Well, then you have to keep them in there longer.
Yeah.
Well, I turned the thing all the way up, but I don't. Yeah. So and Trina only buys that authentic
The maple syrup.
Maple
yes,
syrup
we had
from
this discussion.
Right. You don't like that.
I'm fine with that.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
fine with that. Somebody I was talking to didn't like waffles. They liked pancakes,
Oh,
but not
man.
waffles.
I
don't
like
understand
both.
that.
love
I like
waffles.
both. Yeah.
They have little syrup cups built into the waffle.
What more
Right.
could you want?
I
What
don't
more
understand
could you
what
want?
you want out of life.
They also hold fresh fruit now as well. So there's other things.
Let's get
my
real.
mom used to make. We had the flat kind of waffle maker. So now they got the round kind that are really super thick. They make the Belgian waffles.
Yes,
I don't
Belgian
like those
waffles.
Belgian waffles. They're too thick. There's too much. So
I think
the
that's all I
old
know.
the old school post-war thin waffle that's square. You know, with the four little sections. You know. And we used. My mom would make that. She used just
Call
the,
those Eggo.
No, we
Oh,
actually cook these.
okay.
But you know, we'd use the Krusteaz mix. You know, none of that homemade
Right,
stuff.
that's what I
So that and there's a lot of stories about that. We everything was from a box and a package, but she would put cinnamon in
Oh.
it, and so or do other things. She would fix it up a little bit, and you'd walk around or you'd lay there in bed on a Saturday morning and you'd smell the
Oh,
cinnamon
yeah,
wafting through the house, and it's like. Oh, it's going to be great, and there'd be eggs and bacon and stuff like that, or put some blueberries.
Bacon.
in
Now
it.
there's bacon. We never had much of that growing up. So whenever I would go, now when I go to a brunch or something, it's like I have to stop myself because I want to like have 15
Wrap
pieces
yourself
of
in
bacon.
bacon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it is pretty delicious, I have
Okay,
to say.
crunchy or chewy on the bacon. This is every.
I like
I can go either way. I like it a little
in the
crispier.
middle, a little crispier, but not, not so crispy you touch it and it falls like Ramses the Third Mummy or something. Yeah. So
Interesting analogy. I want to remind everybody to give us a call, 503-207-7135.
yeah, please call. Come on.
The number's at the bottom of the screen. Give us a call.
How do you
Tell
like
us-
your bacon?
What if they
Tell us
call?
how you
What,
like
do
your
what do
bacon.
they get if
Vote.
they call?
Thank you for reminding
yeah.
me. Nothing. You get nothing if you call. But if you like us on Facebook, I will give you a shout out. And in fact, I have a list of shout outs
Great.
Oh,
written right in front of me of
Awesome.
people who have liked us since the last
All
show.
right.
They
of course,
liked us
there are
on
many
Facebook.
thousands more. These are randomly drawn.
This is all I
from
could
the list
fit.
of hundreds.
Absolutely.
Or thousands, or however many it is.
I want to give a shout out to Ivy. Thank you, Ivy, for liking us.
Thanks,
what a great
Ivy.
name that you don't hear anymore.
Yeah.
I went to
Ivy.
school with an Ivy. It's a great name. Solid, salt of the earth, Ivy.
Right.
Veronica, another great name. Thank
That's
you,
a great
Veronica,
name.
for the shout out.
These are great names.
Very 50s and 60s to me, Betty
Archie.
and Veronica.
Yeah,
the whole Archie
absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely.
Veronica's great. Sandra, thank you. My
Another
aunt's name, Sandra. If you're named Sandra, you need to be okay with Sandy, too. I don't like the, hey, Sandy, it's Sandra.
Well, and there's
No.
a show that's actually on the website. If you want to go back and watch a few shows,
Oh.
Nick has some opinions about names.
I
So
do.
These are
Don't get
strongly
picky
helpful.
about it. Sandy is okay, too. I'm going to butcher this one. Mia Devi.
You've got
Mia
some
Devi,
female
thank you.
female fans on this show.
What
I
is that
think
about?
Mia Devi.
Why aren't they
I believe
calling
it is
in? Come on, call
Yeah,
in.
give us a call. Thank you, Mia Devi. I wonder what ethnicity that is. I'll have to check that out.
What is it?
Miadevi. Mia Devi.
Sounds Hindu or something.
Maybe. I don't know. Give us a call or comment on our
Mia
Facebook
Devi,
page
call us.
and let me
Let us
know
know.
how
Yeah.
badly I'm butchering it. David, thank you.
A guy.
Solid name. My
course,
dad's
David,
name.
yes.
David, that's a great one. And last but not least, Jason. I actually do not like people named Jason.
What?
Okay.
We like you though, Jason.
I'm sure that I
Thank you,
would.
Jason.
I haven't
Did
met
you have a
lot of great Jasons.
someone Jason that beat you up or something?
No. They're just not.
Has there ever been a Jason that didn't beat you up?
Oh God, Brian. No, it's not a name that.
How about Mason?
Mason's okay.
Okay.
I've known some good Masons and some bad Masons.
All right.
They're all over the.
The one that did your
Mason-Dixon
brickwork
line.
at your house, yeah.
Anyways, thank you for the shout outs. Please give us a call and like us on Facebook so that we can.
Wait a minute.
Oh, we've got somebody
This
on the
just
phone.
in.
Maybe somebody's name whom I just mispronounced. We'll see. Maybe they can set me straight.
We'll get to you in just a moment.
We'll
You want to finish your list there?
No, Jason's the last one I
Oh.
have. Jason's the last one I have. So share with your friends. Tell your
Beatrice.
friends. We've got Beatrice on the phone.
Hi, Beatrice.
Let's
Beatrice,
see if
hi.
that's a great name too.
It's an awesome name.
Beatrice. Is that Aunt
You
Bee's
say
name?
Beatrice
I'll
or
bet you it was.
Probably.
Okay, she's on.
Beatrice, can you hear us?
Very faintly.
Oh, well, we can hear you. Yeah, it tends to be quiet on the phone for some reason. Sorry.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, what did you want to share with us?
Well, no one has spoken about pannukaka or julekaga or Swedish pancakes.
Oh.
This sounds
Schwedische?
like a learning opportunity.
Wait. So what was the first thing you said? Are those other names for Swedish pancakes, or are those different?
Pannukaka.
Anukaka.
Let's learn about that.
I don't know what that is. Tell
know
me
what
about it.
Pannukaka
You have to
is
clean up
like
after
the
your
German puff pancake that people have lemon and powdered sugar, but the
Oh,
Scandinavians
Pannukaka.
have sour cream and lingonberry.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, so like sour cream and so is it like a blintz?
No, it's you have a cast iron skillet.
Okay.
You heat it up with butter, then you make the batter and you pour it in, put it back in the oven, and it puffs up and then
Oh.
it collapses.
Yes. I have heard. There's a yeah. It's like a Dutch. Do the Dutch do that?
Some people call it Dutch baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Many
Okay.
Oh.
different nationalities have different names,
I see.
and it tastes so much like French toast.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
Do you?
So-
Is that something you make, Beatrice?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Where are you from? I detect a little bit of an accent.
Born in America.
You were born here, really?
Sie
Ja.
klingt wie ein Schwedischer, ja?
I was brought up with my grandmother, Norwegian Finnish Swede.
Oh, okay. Norwegian. Okay. Excellent.
Have
Yeah,
you been watching the Olympics, Beatrice?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
My favorite is the boards on the tube with
the toboggan or
The inner
bobsled?
tube.
no, the boys on the and
The
the girls
snowboarding
on the
and the-
big board like a surfboard.
The half
snowboarding.
pipes. Snowboarding,
Yeah, the
yes.
half pipe.
Yeah, half pipe, yeah.
That's your favorite, huh?
I love that. And then when they also go downhill and then they flip in the air and do a somersault.
Wow,
finisher.
that is something, yeah.
I'll tell you, every
snow
time
style stuff.
Yeah, when I see them doing the steep, the moguls and these crazy ski courses, I cannot understand how they stay on their feet. It's really mind-boggling.
It is.
Well, and the ones where, like she was talking about, and also the skiers are doing it, but they go down that little hill and then go off an incredibly steep ramp,
Yeah.
and then do the jump and get judged on the jump. When you see it from a distance, you don't really realize until you see it from a distance how steep all that is and how high.
Yeah.
You know, the slope continues to go down. They go off that jump, and I mean, just the distance they
Is
fall
it
is
not
amazing.
true that this is the first year they have allowed the women to do it?
I think that is true. Yes,
I think
it's the
so.
first year they had a women's sport. They haven't had snowboarding as an Olympic sport for very long.
No, that's new too.
no, that's within
Yeah,
the...
it's within the last few Olympics.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for calling, Beatrice. I love, now that I know what that is, I have had that before.
What
once.
is it called?
Yeah, can you spell it?
Pannukaka,
Hanukaka.
Pannukaka? I mean,
and then
Kartoffelpfannkuchen.
there's the able skeevers.
Ooh, what's that now?
That is in a cast iron pan that has 7 indentions, and if you go to Scandinavian Festival, people stand long lines for it. It's like it's a pancake, but it's like the center of a donut.
Oh, wow. Well, you're
You
speaking
mean
my
the center of
language.
a donut is
And they
empty.
can you can make
think that's what
them
you
to be with if you want to fill them, you can put fruit in the inside of them, and you roll the batter around them, and or you can make them savory, and you can
Oh.
put bits of meat and
Yum.
herbs and different like bits of bacon or sausage or something
Wow.
in it.
Oh,
And
Sounds
it can be
delicious.
savory like an hors d'oeuvre.
fantastic.
Yeah, wow, that sounds good.
My wife's an excellent cook, and it's funny, you know, she mentions a cast iron pan.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
good
To
cooks.
cook
a lot of
with
great
the,
meals
yeah,
start
the
with
heat
a
is
yeah.
more even or something?
This cast iron pan has very many good uses in the kitchen. You can cook very well with it, but if the husband does not do the dishes, it's good to crack him over the head.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's another show.
Thank you. Thank you for your call, Beatrice. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Those all sound delicious.
They do.
I have had one of those sort of Dutch. There's the original Pancake House. Have you guys ever been?
Yes.
And they do like the big, super thick pancake with God, is it delicious? But the other thing she's talking about, she mentioned you can do sweet or savory. That's an interesting thing that I learned as I grew up. I mean, as a kid, a meat pie would have sounded disgusting, but they are delicious.
Yes, they
There's-
are.
You know, I've had a couple in the last few
Chicken
years.
pot pies?
Well, that's a very average one, but I mean, there's like a.
Have you ever been to the Mongolian? Or eaten North African food?
No.
Like Mongolian. There's a Mongolian place in Northwest Portland, but they do that. You can get a pie, and it's got like fila, very crisp, like pastry
Yeah, I think
crust.
phyllo
Called
dough.
filoche?
Or,
No.
I'm thinking
Phyllo dough is
phyllo
with
dough.
the Greek, it's
Yeah.
the Greek flaky sort
Yeah.
of pastry.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's got things like cinnamon on it, and
Oh, yeah.
other spices that you would usually not associate with meat. But then it's got this really delicious meat stuff. It's amazing and it's different. You eat everything with your hands. It's a great
Yeah.
experience to just do something completely
Those things
different.
are interesting where you mix two things that you think would not go together, and then you think, wow, God, is that really good? You know, and yeah, I was just thinking about, I was up in Seattle a few months ago, and there's this place that all they make is meat pies, they're little sort of individual, in the vein of a chicken pot pie, but ground beef or steak or something in the middle of it, and it's sort of sweet and savory at the same time, and oh, it's just absolutely delicious. It's good
Trina
stuff.
makes some chicken pot pies that are really good. Those are, with
I've had them out of a
vegetables.
box, but that's about it. I
No,
don't
she
think I've
makes,
ever had
yeah.
a real chicken pot
Do you
pie.
want to come over sometime?
I would love. Anytime
All
someone
right.
wants to make me food,
Okay.
I'll come over.
All right.
Yeah.
You want to come
Absolutely.
over?
I'd love to.
We're
All right.
coming over for
Good.
Trina.
Okay,
If you're
bring
watching,
what's your wife's name?
if you
Lisa.
Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
we're coming over for some chicken pot pie.
Okay.
Sounds
Trina.
good.
So
Yeah.
go ahead and get that ready.
Good food.
Yeah.
If you were on death row,
Wow.
My last meal.
you get your last meal. Now, there's a couple ways to go with this. Maybe. We're sensing a theme, John.
No, this is different than every other
Yeah.
day. Okay.
You want to do something special on
right.
this night. You know, maybe you don't want to be really bloated as you go to the chair. Maybe you want something light. You want a salad.
For
No, I'm kidding. You don't want a
For-
salad. But this is the last thing you're ever gonna
well, this
have.
is what I'm thinking. You know, when you're going to have surgery, they tell you you can't eat anything 24 hours before you're going to have surgery, so you don't aspirate after you vomit. So did they really? I guess they don't care
They
if
don't
the
care if you
person.
aspirate.
Okay, all right.
No, you're
But I
not-
mean, is
you're
the
not
guy
supposed to
going to
survive.
hurl? He's on the gurney, and
I
you know,
don't-
they pump him, and
probably not.
not
no.
gonna put
I
an
think
airway
they
in
don't
or
care at
anything.
that point,
Okay.
No. So
What's the next question?
Assuming you could eat whatever you wanted, what do you? I want to know what you want to get.
Wow.
I don't even know what I would necessarily.
I mean,
need
I'd
a
be
minute.
so. I don't know.
Could you
Maybe
eat-
if I had been on death row for 20 years while I appealed,
Yeah.
and it
You'd
was
be
just a
hungry at
way
that
of
point?
life. Okay, then I wouldn't care. I mean, I'd be probably happy. I don't know.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what I would want, and I make this, by golly, and it's good.
Okay.
Is a steak, like maybe a nice rib steak, or New York or something. I don't know. Like an Angus, a nice, good quality piece
Sure.
of meat,
You
not
don't
just
wanna
any
cheap
piece of
out
meat,
on your last
good
meal.
piece of meat.
Yep.
And cooked over wood. Like you
Okay.
do the wood charcoal, like you get
Yep.
some
Wood chips and things in
mesquite
there?
or something. Not your briquettes. We're talking about.
Right.
It's so good. It makes such a big difference, and it burns so hot. It sears the flavor in. Medium rare.
You know.
And then you know what else? Here's something I wanted to bring this up because
Yeah,
a lot of
go ahead.
people, beets get a lot of disrespect, and a lot of
There's
people
a
hate
reason.
beets.
I hate
Beets are
beets.
awesome. Beets are great, but I finally got my wife to understand how great beets are. Beets are so sweet and delicious. You make a lot of people make sugar out of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she grew up with pickled beets and thought beets were pickled, and so she hated them. But like a really great beet salad, there's some of the restaurants in Portland has phenomenal beet salad, nice beet salad, a steak, maybe a
I
little bit of
put a couple
vegetable.
up to my ears, but I couldn't hear anything.
You're not gonna
No,
win.
those are the ear
Wrong
things.
beats,
Okay,
Jim. Wrong beats.
Okay.
No, you know what's interesting? I don't like steak. Don't like steak.
You don't like steak?
You need a
I don't
good
like
one.
steak. I
Like-
don't care for ice cream very much, and I don't
Wow.
like pizza.
You're a communist.
It sort of feels like it.
Do
I
you like
realize
chocolate?
I'm a pariah. I love chocolate. Yeah, and there are some pizzas that I like, but they're not the traditional. You know, and I get in arguments with people about this.
You?
Barbecue chicken pizza. I know it's crazy. I know. Sometimes I just lose it, Brian. Barbecue chicken pizza, or like a pizza
like
with an
that?
Alfredo sauce. I like those, and then people say, "Well, that's not pizza."
Garlic
Yeah.
chicken pizza?
Yeah, if it's like a white sauce instead
yeah.
of a, instead of
yeah,
a marinara.
I like that a lot.
a
That's kind of a newer kind of pizza
cream-based.
thing.
Yeah, and people
Very Portland.
pizza. pizza purists will say that's not, pepperoni, your sausage, you need your cheeses. That's fine. I don't like any of that stuff. I want something special on my pizza. And so I like those things, but I don't like normal pizza so much.
Do you like pork chops?
Not
Like
particularly.
thin with the, the bone, real thin.
I won't eat meat off a bone.
Oh, okay.
I know. I won't eat chicken wings.
All right.
I don't eat fried chicken unless it's boneless. It's really not a philosophical choice. It's more laziness. I just don't want anything getting in the way of me eating what I'm eating.
A lot of people like the marrow from the bone. There's a lot of people, when they eat meat, they want the bone because they want to suck the inside out of it,
My
because that's
family-
the best part. I never, and I think that we've got some people
No,
in the house here.
Why
who
am I not
agree.
surprised?
But so yeah, bones. See, that's the thing. A lot of people eat different things. I didn't mean to take your thunder, but it's amazing. You talk about people in other countries. It's amazing the wide variety of things that we eat as people, and how delicious so many of them are. We think that, I don't want to eat that, but then
It's what you grew up with and what you're enculturated with. Yeah.
Thanksgiving, light meat or dark meat?
Both.
Dark.
Right down the middle. I know John's going to be a dark meat.
light meat. White meat.
White the whole way. Who wants
Absolutely.
dark?
I'm both.
I'll eat dark meat.
Yeah,
I'm not
on
the kind of
the
person that's
chicken leg, yeah, or on the turkey leg, yeah.
Ugh. I like the white meat. My family likes the dark meat. The white meat is so pure.
It's good. Well, I think I finally
Cranberry
realized
sauce?
it just occurred to me recently that the reason I always had to eat the dark meat, that kids all get the leg and they're all happy about stuff, it's because the adults are eating the breast. And they're always selling the dark meat to the kids, like, oh, you want a leg? I'm just kidding.
I got a question for you.
What's your question, John?
Name a typical all-American, no foreign food, all-American meal.
So that you can then tell me why it's not American?
No.
All American. Well, okay.
Buffalo,
As
North
you know,
American
I
buffalo
teach,
chops.
I teach ESL, and it's come up. A lot of immigrants to this country want to know. They want to
A
honor
burger.
their American host, and they want to know, serve a typical American meal, like for Thanksgiving, or something like that. And it's fairly hard to come up with a typical all-American meal that is solely peculiar and invented in this country.
I don't know, what's meatloaf and mashed potatoes?
I was going to say meatloaf is
Mashed
probably
potatoes and gravy.
Your classic American meal. You finish it up with an
A
apple
pot
pie.
roast.
It's as American as apple pie. That's your classic. But everybody in America is from somewhere else. We
Yeah.
all bring these traditions in.
There's Americanized versions
Yeah,
of
America
everything,
is
but-
it's a
Hot dog. Well, no, because they had sausages and all sorts. Germany's got all their sausages.
There's a lot of Germans here. You could get, before World War II, you could get a degree, an undergraduate degree, taught completely in German in this country at an American university. Before
the war.
Yeah.
Came around and ruined it for everybody. Are hamburgers? I mean, I think people think of hamburgers as being an ugly American food.
Yeah. How
But
about
I
this?
think
How
it's
about
from Germany, isn't it?
how about Hamburger Helper?
Hamburg's a
Rice
city in
alone.
Germany, but I don't think it
I
came
think
from
it-
Germany.
I think it came from Hamburg.
I think you
Maybe that's a old wives' tale.
I think it's a wives' tale.
You need to serve a meal made completely from foods that come from boxes. So, Hamburger Helper.
We invented
with
the
rice-a-roni.
TV dinner. Remember those?
Yeah, Swanson.
I've
A
still
Swanson
had-
hungry man.
I always
There
thought
you
that
go.
was cool. Yeah,
I've had them in the last couple of years.
Have you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Only.
But there's always that one section, even as a kid, you feel the foil back and you look at that one little area, it's like, I don't know what that is. And I don't know that I ever actually ate every section in the thing, because there's always that one thing. It's like, that looks pretty sketchy. So maybe it's
The
just me.
term hamburger originally derives from Hamburg, Germany's
course.
second largest city, from which many people emigrated to the United States. Let's see, in High German, Berg means fortified settlement or refuge, and is a widespread component of place names. So, hamburger in the German language is the demonym of Hamburg. What's a demonym?
It sounds
That sounds very
bad.
foreboding.
I'm
I know.
scared.
I know.
Demonym.
Well, there you have it. It was first created in
Synonym,
America, though, the
demonym.
hamburger, by a Danish immigrant.
Right. In America.
In Connecticut. Yeah. So I
It's
think
ground meat. I mean, it
I
seems
think
like it's.
I think a hamburger is pretty American.
Yeah, that's
Hamburger,
yes,
French fries,
and a milkshake.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's very 50s and 60s drive-in kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but that's pretty American. I don't know that you could do more than that. Now, would you make that for dinner to make somebody feel at home in America? I don't know. I don't think people make burgers. I mean, in the summer we cook them on the barbecue, but I don't know that Americans really eat a lot of burgers for dinner. Maybe I'm
We
wrong.
have them
At home. You guys make them at home?
in the summer. We'll barbecue
In the
'em.
summer,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's a seasonal thing.
Yeah. My mom would make hamburger patties.
Mm-hmm.
My mom would make chipped beef.
Oh, I've never had chip
It
beef.
was,
I've heard
you know what
about
it is? It's like real thinly sliced beef. It came in a plastic pouch.
Pre-chipped already? Like
Yeah,
pre-sliced?
pre-sliced, and then she made a cream sauce, and then she'd make mashed potatoes, and you'd mash them up, and you'd pour this on the potatoes.
So it's sort of a gravy as well as a
Right, chipped beef, she called it.
Yeah, I've heard of that as being not so pleasant. I think you can get it in a can.
The worst thing we had growing up was liver. And
I like liver.
Well, we had to have the old cow's liver with the big hepatic veins in it that were about that big around.
Well, that might not.
Yeah, and
I
we
make
had
liver
to eat it.
pate,
We
that's
had to eat
delicious.
it.
Well, of
Yeah.
course
That's
you did.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
How about
they're-
that? You know, that there's a culture, there's a practice that seems to have gone by the wayside. Maybe, but I
Finishing
mean,
everything on your plate?
absolutely. Eat yet food. You're not leaving this table. until
America
everything's
is
people
the
starving
envy of
in
the
Africa.
world.
That's right.
Well, America's the envy of the world as far as our food.
Yeah.
You know, I've had reports of people coming over here from other countries, and they go into an American home and they're just amazed. You open the refrigerator and I mean, that's why
The
we're all
bounty.
obese, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem.
The
I mean,
massive amount of food, you know.
Yeah.
the biggest problem in the country is eating too much. I mean,
Right.
that's not a problem that a lot of countries have. And then we still have a lot of hunger problems in this country too, which always seems like a weird sort of balance. You hear about. I don't know a lot of hungry people.
There's food deserts in the country
Apparently.
where you know, it's low income, the same thing, you know.
Yep.
Where you're going to locate your oil refinery or your, you know, in low income, the least clout you have, that's where you're going to find the food deserts and the.
Well, let's talk about prices since we're talking about that. One of the things that's difficult for me is I need to drop some weight. I need to eat healthier. I need to do this. And it seems like a common excuse, but the fact is it's more expensive. If you want organic, fresh, new produce and meats and all these things, it is going to cost you at least twice as much, probably.
Yeah,
as
go to
anything
Whole
else.
Foods and,
Oh,
you know,
God.
spend $100 and go to
Go to Winco. and
Winco
spend
and
$100.
spend $100 and
Yeah.
see what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like we are pushing the wrong thing by making it cheap. I mean, it's hard to correct people's behavior when it's so
Yeah.
easy. The
It's
fast
volume,
food is easy to
yeah.
run through. It's easy to grab. I think we are incentivizing people in the wrong way, incentivizing companies to do the wrong things. And it's kind of like, if it was cheaper to eat healthier, it would be a whole different story.
You know what's funny is that things like MSG specifically, and actually we could talk about that for a while, but there's stuff that they put in food, in the cheaper food, in many cases, that increase your appetite. So, and that's one case where it's the most obvious thing, and it's been proven to make you want to eat more and sort of absently eat, just continue to eat. But also I think when you eat the cheaper food, when you eat better food, your body gets trained, and I mean, when you're healthier, your full mechanisms and so on work better, and you probably don't eat as much. So it's sort of like, yes, it's more expensive, but I wonder if we made a habit of eating better foods that we, might retrain
Eat less, and therefore
yeah.
it wouldn't be as expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. It just is so. And I think when we were talking the other night, you said that, one of you said, I think it was you that was talking about how it's not that healthy food is expensive per se.
Yeah.
But everything else is so cheap. The price of the boxed stuff and the canned stuff and all this stuff, and that we've become used to that. For 20 years, it's been so cheap now, and that's what we're accustomed to. Now, when you want to buy a fresh thing of spinach or something, and you're like, "Whoa, that seems expensive for what it is," we're so used to that mass-produced sort of level. You know?
Well, I think that, it's a combination of what's the most profitable and what's the cheapest to produce.
Yeah.
And it's good old American capitalism. What can I make the most profit of that people want the most? And then there was that Super Size Me movie where the guy ate McDonald's for 30 days and the doctor told him he had high blood pressure and he was basically becoming ill by eating what at the fast food places. It's a product that used as directed makes you sick.
Yeah, which is probably
Not quite
what
like
school
cigarettes
lunches
as
are,
bad
too.
as that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Well,
But we're talking about that next
we
time.
will be talking on the next show about
Cigarettes,
smoking.
Not
yeah.
cigarettes,
Yeah.
smoking, and also the cultural things about smoking.
Right.
I don't know about smoking.
Now,
directly.
Brian said, I want to remind people to call in. Brian has a poem he's going to read to us.
Oh, you want to hear the poem?
I don't hear the poem. But give us a call, 503-207-7135. Give us a call and talk about food. I think
So I'll read the
everybody
poem.
can talk about food.
If you want it, I mean,
Let me hear your...
it'll take a minute, like 1 minute.
Let's do it.
It's
What's
written
it
by a
called?
real poet.
Okay.
It's called Pot Roast. It's the name of the
Beans,
poem.
Beans, the musical fruit... Oh,
No.
not that one. Okay.
But I think it does a good job of capturing some
here
of our
I sit
feelings.
brokenhearted. No.
Okay, you guys. So this is real. This is literature. I mean,
Okay.
let's
Okay.
just have
Jim
a
and
little
I are
respect
sorry.
here.
Do you like do you read poetry regularly?
Not as much as I like poetry.
Uh-huh.
I go through seasons of reading. Okay.
Lay it on us.
Pot roast. I gaze upon the roast that is sliced and laid out on my plate, and over it I spoon the juices of carrot and onion, and for once I do not regret the passage of time. I sit by a window that looks on the soot-stained brick of buildings and do not care that I see no living thing, not a bird, not a branch in bloom, not a soul moving in the rooms behind the dark panes. These days when there is little to love or to praise, one could do worse than yield to the power of food. So I bend to inhale the steam that rises from my plate, and I think of the first time I tasted a roast like this. It was years ago in Seabright, Nova Scotia. My mother leaned over my dish and filled it, and when I was finished, filled it again. I remember the gravy, its odor of garlic and celery, and sopping it up with pieces of bread. And now I taste it again, the meat of memory, the meat of no change. I raise my fork in praise, and I eat.
Who was that by? Did you say
His
that
name's
was by?
Mark Strand.
Mark Strand.
I love that. At the end, anyway,
You know,
it
and-
captures the emotional attachments.
It does, and that's
that
a
we
great
have,
segue.
And it also sort of captures the fact that food can be almost like an anchor for us in the midst of it's almost captures an explanation as to why we comfort ourselves with food.
Well, he explained it in there.
Yeah.
Childhood memories.
Yeah.
Now, could
Love.
a poem like that have been written about a salad? No, I would say it could not.
Probably more E.E. Cummings.
Well-
kind of. Yeah.
No, but there is something about meat and the juices that he talks about, and the and it can literally make you salivate when you're talking about your steak for your last meal. And like, oh boy, you take that steak and you throw it on a grill with some wood
Yeah,
fired
it's
on it,
true.
Right.
sizzling, and you know,
Right.
it really awakens a sort of primitive thing in us where we're like, oh boy, I can taste it now.
Yeah.
And it is a really sort of primitive, instinctual thing that's built into us. And, food has so many emotional connections to us. There is the, just like Mom used to make, reminding you of your childhood. There's also the, I'm really upset, I'm depressed, I'm going to eat now.
Right.
And that, I do that all the time. It's a serious problem I have. I'm a stress eater. It's
There's
like,
also the times when you don't. Well, so now this is maybe this is a counseling show, but there's the times when you don't realize that you're stressed or that something's bothering you, but you're reaching for that chocolate bar or whatever that extra, that pie or whatever it is. It's just
I'm very cognizant when I do it, and I know if I'm sick, if I'm feeling
You
a
watch
little
yourself
bad,
do it?
Oh yeah, I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what?
You're
I'm going
doing
to this
it.
drive-through right now. I know it's horrible. I don't care. I feel crappy, and only a burrito is going to set this thing right.
Right.
And
Well,
it's
you
like-
said something one time. You're going through the drive-through and you get 5 things instead of 3 because you don't want to be
Yes.
left hungry or whatever.
Funny that you remember that. Yes, and my therapist would have a lot to say on that probably. And I don't know if it's
When you were growing up, what was
I
it
don't
like
know
at
if
home?
It's from not having enough food growing up.
Did your
or-
mom make
She
dinner?
did. She was a very good cook. We were on food stamps and we didn't have a lot to go around.
Right.
But I do have this thing where I go through a drive-through, I go somewhere, and I'll always tack on a little something extra because, and if I didn't do that and I just ate what I ordered,
Would you like to supersize
I
this?
would be fine. But I have to supersize it, toss a little thing on there because, and it's funny because I will tell myself up to the minute of ordering, I'm not doing it this time. I'm sticking to the plan. I'm gonna get this. I get up there. Would you like anything else? Yeah, let me toss it in. And it just boom.
And
right
they know
there.
that. They ask why they ask you.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And it is, for me, it is a very psychological, deep down, what if I'm still hungry after
So
I
what
finish this?
childhood foods do you remember?
Really, home cookie. Hungarian goulash is one that I enjoyed as a child, which not many children enjoy. But
We had I liked goulash.
did you like goulash when you were a kid?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
You'd come home from school and your mom would look at you and go, "We're having goulash tonight."
Yeah,
No.
and I'd say, woohoo. Chicken and rice, curry chicken and
Yeah.
rice, sort of, these really rich sort of things were always very good to me. I've always loved eating. I just, and there are some people that don't, and I don't understand those people. They're just like, I can eat, I'll eat a little something here and there.
Right.
It is what I plan my day around. It's like, hey, you guys want to go out this weekend? Yeah, where are we eating? Where are we go? I mean,
Yeah.
that is the exciting part to me. Is
Well, now
what-
you can pull up the menu on the internet.
Yes.
So you can plan. You can be looking at. Not that I would do such a thing.
No.
But you can look at the menu.
You can
a day or two ahead of
pre-salivate
time.
now. Yeah.
Absolutely, and think I am going to try that one. I've got it all
I'm going to
figured out.
destroy this cheese platter when I get in there. You just wait. Yeah, I mean, that is the kind of thing you can do. And it is, like I said, there's two aspects of it. There's the reminding me of home. And I have certain things back home in Indiana where I'm from, this tiny little town. There was this gyro stand sort of on the main drag. And, God, they made it. My dad used to bring me there, and they make a good gyro. Cheap, super thickly wrapped. And
I
you just-
never had a gyro until
Recently?
Yeah.
I think
Really?
we're learning that you're a little younger than me. I mean,
Well,
Euros,
younger,
yeah.
Yes, maybe they didn't have
Euros kind of
Euros
came
back
in the
your
90s.
day.
no.
Yeah.
Well, this was in the 90s, probably.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the 90s, right? Yeah,
Maybe,
no,
maybe
okay.
they didn't exist.
I
before
keep
that.
forgetting, like, I'm old enough to be your father, yeah.
You are.
Your father, Luke.
Well, the
okay.
other thing is that the 90s was actually kind of a long time ago. That's the thing.
I know.
That's the thing that really troubles me.
Don't
is that-
remind me.
Yeah.
So you had
Don't remind me.
gyros.
But there was this Euro stand, and I would go there for lunch, and it's full of onions and the tzatziki sauce, and the whole thing is
Okay.
delicious. I moved away.
It was a stand.
It started off as a very small sort of manufactured. Yeah, they had
in
like
this
two
little
tables
town in
there.
Indiana.
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily expect a Euro place there, but in the Midwest, it seems like a lot of restaurants are owned by Greeks. It's a Greek thing, lots of restaurants are Greek. And, I moved away and I missed this Euro, and I used to have my buddy in Indiana mail me a Euro. He would go down there, because I'll have Euros out here, and they're not as good. They're not the same.
It's like
That's
in
disgusting,
Boston.
Mick.
Boston.
It has,
And you ate it.
oh yeah.
It came in the mail. and
Not
you ate it.
overnight. Not overnight.
That's gross.
Regular
That's nasty.
mail.
cheesesteaks in Boston.
It's the same.
Those yeah.
It's the
I've
same
never
Philly-
found one out
a
here.
Philly cheesesteak
Yeah.
and
Would you eat
um,
one that was mailed to you?
No.
I will eat pretty much anything that's old. I don't really. I mean, if
Wow.
it doesn't have visible mold on it, I'm pretty okay with it. That's not to say I haven't paid the price a couple times. But listen, you roll the dice sometimes. And
You live a little,
Yeah,
right?
you
I mean,
live a
when,
little.
when it works, it's great.
He doesn't really mail them to me anymore. I found a place out here that's decent, but I mean, it's that thing where like, God, I need this fix of what's from home, and this what I could smell it through the box. You open up the box and there it is. It was so delicious. But let's talk about GMOs and these sort of engineered foods for a minute, because we're talking about hunger throughout the world, and that some nations are hungry and we're so fat. And one of the ways they've tried to address that is with these GMO things. Like, what if we can make a rice that grows under any conditions, or corn? And it seems like people have a lot of really mixed feelings on that, including myself. It seems like a noble reason to do it. The premise is we want to make a rice that can grow in Somalia easily, and
Disease resistant.
right,
stuff
and
like that.
and all these
So
sorts
we'll
of things.
put a gene from a halibut in the.
Maybe, I don't know how they do it. I don't think
Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah.
fish.
Fish genes in plants, yeah.
Oh, why fish?
I don't know exactly, but
Wrong place, wrong time.
it's kind of scary to think that you're messing with the DNA of the Earth.
Well, that's the problem, is that nature, specifically, there is no free lunch in nature. You do something, and we've all seen Jurassic Park,
Right.
right? The minute you do something, there's going to be ramifications.
That's not
Right.
nature, Nick.
Oh, it's not? What? What?
That's not real.
Okay,
That's-
we'll talk after the show. Maybe I'm confused. But you mess something up, and nature will come around and bite you in the ass. I mean, it has a way of balancing itself very specifically. And so the intellectual part of me knows that, okay, well, there is probably something bad that will happen here. You come up with all your antibacterial soaps and all this other stuff, and like, oh, now disease is,
That's one
antibiotic
thing,
resistant.
but messing with the genetic material of plants and animals, I mean,
What about the natural method of doing that?
There's no way to know what's gonna- I
natural
think that-
selection.
No, naturally combining, you can combine seeds and things. Or
Graft.
you can,
Okay, that's
you
one
can
thing,
do-
but going in and splicing
Well,
genetic,
what's the difference? Are you saying from like a moral perspective, it's wrong?
from just a scary scientific.
But you could have, it's almost like saying that, you could take a lemon tree and an orange tree and splice it together, or you could take similar things and make them work together. But I think we're talking about two very dissimilar things, and so
Potentially.
there's no way, and also that would never have worked like a tree if you graft the two together. If it works, it grows. You know what I mean? If it doesn't, if they're too dissimilar, it's not going to grow. The thing's going to
Whereas
die.
scientifically, you're forcing this to work.
I'm just for the sake of argument.
In an
I mean, this is a
unholy
different-
union
it's a
of
diff-
fish
well,
and
it's not the
rice.
same thing.
Yeah,
that's
it's
wh-
probably not the same thing.
I'm
This
just
is the
articulating.
legend of Atlantis, that why Atlantis was
'Cause their
destroyed
technology-
50,000 years ago. They were creating creatures to serve them. They were taking DNA and creating creatures to serve them as
I know.
workers, and that's why Atlantis was destroyed.
But that's why we're so terrified of so many things. Is because of all the movies and these stories that like you can't have robots. Have you seen Terminator? They turn bad, they come and get you. And Isaac Asimov wrote these. I mean, we've always had this historical fear of. It's not really based on anything necessarily, but it's built into us that. Wait until this comes around, and there's gonna be floods, and it will.
It's important. Like when we have medical breakthroughs, I mean, whenever there's major medical breakthroughs that, stem cells as an example, and there's many. There's been, as long as there's been medicine, there's been these kinds of ethical questions that come up. Is this is messing with the natural order of things? Is this really okay? And I guess all I would say is I think it's an important question to ask because there's no going back. I mean,
Right.
I think that's the thing for me anyway. And I'm not saying that I know whether it's right or wrong, but once it's done, those seeds are there, and we're going to have forests of 100-foot
going
tall
back.
wheat. You know what I mean? That may take over the world. I'm overstating it, but I mean, who knows? The thing is, we don't know.
So
And
we splice piranha DNA with corn, and we've got ears of corn that will attack you in the middle of the night.
that's a
You never
that's a
know.
late night sci-fi
You
show
never
right
know.
there, Sci-Fi
We're
Channel.
only weeks away from that happening. I'm
Could be.
sure. I'm
Could be.
sure. Absolutely.
But I think it's fair. I mean, to say what we need to take the time to ask the questions. What are the ramifications of these things that we do? Doesn't mean we don't necessarily do them, but
There's a
but to
children of the
rush it
corn
is
joke
wrong.
in there to be made somewhere. But let's talk about our next show. We've got a few minutes left. We're going to be talking about smoking on the next show and several various topics. Do you want to touch on sort of what we'll be talking about, Brian?
So my vision of the next show, however, just like this show, the callers could take it in a completely different direction. So, but the thing that fascinates me about smoking is that you watch Perry Mason right at noontime, which is still on
Yeah.
KPTV.
Oh, yeah.
You can and everybody's cool smoking their cigarette, and it's if you don't smoke, if you're a male in the 50s, I mean, who are you?
What are you, lame?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so to the point now where smoking isn't allowed in any kind of building or in any bar or any restaurant or on a plane and so the thing for me is not to say that that's wrong necessarily, but I wonder sometimes when we walk in that building and they used to stand huddled underneath the eave of a building smoking their cigarettes. At first they were inside, right? Then we moved them outside. They were close to the door. And now we say, now you got to be 50 feet, from the door. And I actually used to work in a building where the smokers then went out and stood in the rain. And I just think for me, it's a question. I recognize that smoking has a terrible price that it's inflicted on society, but where's the line of us being considerate of them? And is that a useful part of the conversation?
Well, and why?
That's what that's actually the nature of my question and what I want to talk about in the next show. I don't. By the way, as far as smoking, I did say, let's talk about smoking. Smoking kills you, and I don't really want to spend time talking about breathing smoke into your lungs and whether or not,
You're questioning
that's
whether
deadly.
we should demonize this whole section of society for something that they do that may not affect us.
I wonder if we've gone a little further than we need to. That's my question.
Fair question. There are some other aspects of smoking that I think we'll talk about. I don't care about smokers' opinions or how they feel, frankly.
Smokers, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
It's
You need
easy
to
to
call
say.
in at the next show and tell him.
It's easy
about
to
that.
say I don't care about this group because I'm not one of them, And but they tax the crap out of those things now, and they're paying a bunch of taxes, and they're doing this and they're doing that. It's interesting how smoking is still cool to people, and I just don't understand that. We don't have it in all the movies anymore. We took it away from all these different things, but still, kids and people just think it's cool. Man, I'm just.
What could be
Ooh,
better
make
than
this
lighting
face.
something on fire and putting it by your face?
I can't imagine.
Breathing it into your lungs.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a better night than that.
Inhaling it.
Yeah, I don't. It's an interesting discussion. So we'll be talking about that next time.
Are we
It's
going
gonna
to
be
talk
awesome.
about smoking different things or just tobacco?
I think we could talk about some various things.
Okay.
I mentioned
throw it open.
Marijuana?
Smoke,
Yeah, pot
pot
or-
is legal now in some states, and smoking a pipe or there's whole,
Would they
Smoking
allow a
crack or-
demonstration in the studio?
there's this no, they would not. There's this whole hookah thing now. They've got hookah
The
places you
hookah.
can go
I'm going to have
into.
to go into one of the. What did they do in there? Is
The
it
water, it's a Turkish water pipe.
Jim will go
Do they
into a
smoke
hookah
tobacco?
place
Yeah.
between now and the next
get
show.
the camera? Let's.
Jim will go in.
That's a
We'll
great
go
idea.
do that.
Let's do it.
I want to remind people.
When is the next show?
That's a great idea. Great question. It's March 6th.
March 6th.
And
March 6th.
March 6th, everybody's the
p.m.
next show, 8 p.m. Go to facebook.com/wrongtvshow.
For a call out on the air.
You'll get a shout out here. Just like us. I'll see your name. I'll give you a shout out. I always post things there about what the next show is going to be about, what we're talking about, and we would love your comments there too. If you don't feel comfortable calling in, leave us a comment there, and I'm happy to address it on the air here as well once we read that. You can also go to wrongtvshow.com. That's our main website. You can listen live. We put up the archived versions of shows on there and all this sort of thing.
We're a multimedia situation.
Very multimedia, yeah, but
Absolutely.
we want people to call in, most of all. Give us a call and share your thoughts with us. Just talking about food for the last hour has made me hungry, and it's one of those, like I said, those primitive things that really sort of grabs at you.
One word, oysters.
And I don't think we need oysters, but I'm going to go get something to eat, and you guys tune in for